I'll see you in the next one. Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. Ain't so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world got all twisted, leaving him stranded on a rock in the sky. He gets up, sets off for the Bastion, where everyone agreed to go in case of trouble. Ground forms up under his feet as it point the way. He don't stop to wonder why. Finds his lifelong friend, just lying in the road. Well, it's a touching reunion. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. In the calamity, that a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a gas fella, forced out from underground. Sometimes you just need a drink. Gotta hold her still to spin up the chamber. A school of squirts tunnels up around him. Must have fled here from the mines. He sets foot inside one of Celandia's famous watering holes. Wait, haven't I? Anyway, Rhonda's place just brings back memories. Then Kid finds his trusty shield. The security takes him for a petty thief. Special delivery, gas fellas. Windbags start turning up for last call. More squirts start coming out of the woodwork. A big old fella pops out in front of the kid. He gets a good look at things on his way down. He lands on top of a breaker's bow, and it ain't broke. Good news is the emergency defenses still work. Bad news is they're aiming for the kid. He finds the distillery, right next to the arsenal. Tough part of town. One sip of the spirits in that distillery, and the kid'll feel like a new man. The arsenal's where the kid can pick the best tools for the job. Some of them squirts birthing like crazy in a couple of corn bins. An old ferry barge sends the kid on his way. The Bastion's real close now. Kid better watch his step. He finds the core to the Wharf District. He steals the city's heart. Might as well. Well, down he goes. Down toward the Bastion. Now the kid sees something stranger still. His mind races. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds another. He finds me. And just like that, the Bastion comes alive. Starts growing again. Growing stronger. Kid's gotta put its power to good use. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild unknown. Kid ponders what to build. Kid don't know what's out there waiting for him. Now he lands at the intersection between bad and wrong. Ought to be a core down one of these twisted streets. But which one? And there it is. But it's locked down tight in an alloy cage. And now there's a new marshal in town. Almost like he's showboating for the crowd. He hears the whole place groan, but it's too tough to fall. He comes back, just like I knew he would. The core hums in his pack. The monument's calling for it. Kid does it again. Only fair he decides what we build next. Picked up traces of other cores while the kid was out. In better days, the melting pot was sealed tighter than the skin on a squirt. Of all the plans to survive the calamity, it had to be stabweeds. Core stuck inside one of those fancy cages. Now what could possibly go wrong? Quite a bit, as it turns out. The cage starts lifting from the core ever so slow. All Kid can do is wait. Shipments start falling in. Not every squirt's born bad. Some spring to the kid's defense. Judging by the movement of the cage, it's gonna take a little while. Scumbags don't take kindly to interlopers. Even some gas fellas take his corner. Heard it pop that mean old foreman. At this rate, maybe 5 more minutes, maybe 30. Hard to tell. Squirts get real territorial around the core. Then a shipment of free samples shows up. It ain't all bad, as the kid finds some spices from the motherland, tax-free. One thing's for sure, that cage is awful heavy. Troublesome scene, to be sure. A few moments left, and the core goes free. 10, 9, 8, 7. Give or take a few seconds. Finally, the core's within reach. And done. He's got it. Just gotta get to the nearest barge. I still remember the look on his face after that one. The old world's finished, but the new world's just getting started. Couples used to walk the sundown path. Kid ain't here for pleasure though. But then, somebody gets to the core before the kid. A single panic squirt could bring the whole place down. Well, the path ain't exactly open to visitors no more. See, the path was intended for leisurely strolling and such. Sky bridges link the path together. One of them bridges whips the kid along. The calamity changed everything. Even when the wind blows. Well, if we mastered the winds in the old days, we can do it again. Who else could have taken the core? No, they used to ship live munitions down the path. Even gas fellas need some shut-eye from time to time. They get real cranky when you wake them up. In all this toil, Kid keeps coming back to an overwhelming question. Who else could have survived the calamity? So he didn't find the core that time, but that ain't about to stop us. dead ain't gotta worry about this mess. The calamity took everybody after all. Kids sees it plain, frozen faces all around. These folks never saw the calamity coming, but someone did. Someone close. The core survives as well. What do you say to a man who's seen too much? Kid hasn't a clue, but he says this: we have to go. Please. He's a proper gentleman, that man. His name is Zolf. No hiding he's an Ura. Folks like him ain't never been a common sight in Caelondia. He's relieved to see a living face or two. The kid and I introduce ourselves in kind, both to him and to each other, for the first time. The cores, they remember. That's why this place is coming together. That's why things are gonna be all right. Well, look what we have here. We tracked down a couple more cores near the edge of the city. There's only one way to Cinderbrick Fort. The hard way. Sure, the city marshals may be gone, but now the fort's crawling with windbags. The calamity was mercy of normal folks. At least the marshals left the kid a parting gift. Windbags ain't much different from normal folks. All they want's a warm place to stay and a decent meal. Cinderbrick gave them enough heat and metal to munch on for a while. Well, the fort ain't theirs by right. Security's plain gone haywire. Windbags gummed up the works. They trapped the kid in the middle of the fort's parade grounds. And now ain't nothing left for nobody down at Cinderbrick Fort. Kid shows up just as Zolf's telling me about his own journey to the city. Zolf's travels ain't much compared to what the kids had to go through for all this. The gods, they're all undone. Folks used to make pilgrimage here to pay their respects to Pith, the bull. Well, the gods are long gone now. And the orchard core, it's long gone too. In time, though, the bull stopped being a symbol and started being decoration. Pith makes a decent scarecrow, at least. Must have been guarding that shrine. Popping windbags is hard enough. The gods can make it even harder. Well, if the gods are alive, they must be plenty sore. Then Pith lights up like a rodeo. The Langston River flowed free and wild till the calamity drank it all up. Maybe all that water just grew wings and flew off. Riverbanks swarming with windbags. They're so bent on finding the core they hardly notice the kid. Lucky for him, a certain famous ferry barge is still afloat. She sends some squirts crying home as she leaves port. Maybe Nellie knows the way to the core. Maybe she can slip right past all the clamor on the coast. Or maybe not. The security skiff pulls up portside. Nellie's just another windbag to those guns. Just then, the windbags notice who she's sailing with. They try to slow her down. Kid almost falls again. They try to knock her out. Well, Weepin' Nellie tries harder. Try as she might, though, she hits a snag. Kid's gotta help her get untangled. Favors for favors. At least she picked a good spot for a break. The core's right there. Then the kid hears an unusual sound, like 100 flapping wings. He finds Weepin' Nellie raring to go. Turns out she's got a special surprise for when the waters get rough. Crafty things think they're king of the roost now. Rest of us only wish we could fly in times like these. Security skiffs keep on coming starboard side. Don't seem to care what they shoot, as long as they hit something. The windbag's getting even better in here. Well, it all proves too much for poor Nellie. Just gotta make one last stop. With her last breath, Nellie gets the kid to solid ground. Solid ground in Picker country. They want that core real bad. Kid shoos them off, knowing they'll be back. 9 whole times. Now, listen close. You should remember this. Why go to Prosper Bluff? Used to take an enterprising man or a plain old fool to venture out that far. And that's why you go to Prosper Bluff, ain't it? We darn near celebrated when the kid got back, didn't we? Zolf never thought he'd see a fellow her again. We become fast friends. Calamity has that effect on people. But there was more to be done. There was one last core to find. Kid's surprised when I tell him there's only one core left. I shouldn't have believed it either. We tracked the final core beyond the city to the wilds. The wild unknown. Place can eat a man alive. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. Pecker's got the core, like they're building a Bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon. Kid learns the hard way not to touch those things. They shouldn't have let the guard down. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. Then Kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. He's anxious to get back. After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well, no, it ain't. Not by a long shot. Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back. After Zolf's little episode, Kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the Corps' medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good for all I know. Wherever he is, somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. Dad welcomed him with open arms. Kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. I'm Zolf of Ura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, vine apples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. Kid sets foot inside one of Celamia's famous watering holes. The security's just gonna have to straighten him out. Kid succeeds where the calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Rondi, the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. His friend, he's come undone too. He sees what's left undone. Near lost my train of thought just thinking about that place. The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Had to find a ticket out of this hole. Ever heard of a lung blossom? Well, a kid prunes it down to size somehow. Disgusting things. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothus Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. He holds his ground. Seems the Queen's running out of options. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. One bad step in that tall grass and he's Queen Anne's lunch. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? You use a kid as bait. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. Rest in peace, Queen Anne. That was for the brushers. Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. All that trouble for a single shard. But you know what? It was worth it. Ain't saying much, but that's the greatest forge in all the city. Know how Caelondia became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaine. If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. Whole place shudders in a fit. The grand rail of Point Lemaine. Not only is it still there, it still works. The Army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. The grand rail's all grown over with things the Calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. Not much wiggle room up there near the rail. Of course, the grand rails seen much more fighting in bygone times. It was right here that Zulf's forefathers decided to mix it up. The Caelondian War, 50 years ago, doomed to happen again. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole grand rail thing. The rail must have shook the to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. That was bad. It's still got one good run in store for him, though. All the rotten wood there on the rails turning into swampweed central. Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While choking on swampweed? While peckers trying to prick you in the eye? Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. It's the end of the line. He'll be picking swampweed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. At first he thinks it's Zulf. This is for you, says the man. Then wham! When the kid comes to, the man's long gone. But something else is there. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard. He took the hit. And he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Colford Cauldron. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here, but we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. All sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. Places inhospitable as they come. After all, when we looked down inside Colford Cauldron, we saw in there the heart of the world. The heart now laid bare by the calamity. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Charleston Ball. But where there's one stink eye, there's always more. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. He comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. Can't rightly call Mount Zan a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down, quick and clean. Look at it this way. It's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our bastion is everybody's gain. Not just ours. We just really need their shard. We'll all be better off once the bastion is complete. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends. Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Zealandia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes a burstone quarry. Rattletails ain't the worst of it either, but more about that in a little bit. Not only are these rocks a source of life, keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. We found that the oldest ones remember things. Now why would the Hura sell off such a fascinating place? Might be the gods told them the quarry's bad news. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror shield. The largest ones, you know as cores. Remember how I said rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? We never could get stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. That honor goes to a beast we took to Colin, Sir Lunky. Massive things stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. Are you all right? It says, the Bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back. Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. If that's the way it is, he says, then I won't stop you, because my countrymen will. The next part's hard to talk about, no matter how many times I try. Say what you will about Zolf, but he's a man of his word. His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. Should have seen this coming. Felt it in my bones. Zolf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their holes. Something wrong sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away at this place. I couldn't stop him alone. I ain't a kid no more. After that, the Ura, they left. They done with. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back for the calamity. It was Ceylandia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zolf knew the whole story. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. Just the occasion to crack open the distillery's private reserve. One last shard. It's all we need to put this mess behind us. And mother, what a mess it is. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. At the heart of the calamity was a simple idea. We never wanted to go to war again. Wanted to rule it out. Traveled near as far as the kid's going right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. It came from an Ura, a brilliant young scientist named Ven. Ven worked for the Mancers, the sharpest knives in the city's drawer. With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the Ura tunnels shut in a flash. Just like that, every last Ura living in the Tassel terminals will be gone. But Ven didn't like being manipulated. He had plans of his own. He sabotaged the Mancers' little science project, set it to blow up in their faces. But remember, the Bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. Too bad the Ura ain't exactly been willing to collaborate on that front. It's strange. Feels like I told this part 1,000 times. First things first, though. There's someone we figured needed rescuing. Zia. The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move. But we knew ours already. There's something we had to do before going after that last shard. Well, now it's personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now. They even sick their little rattletail pets on the kid. By now, every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. The Ura keep hanging on to their barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. Yes, our people caused the calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. As the hour grows desperate, the Ura bring out their big guns. You had to see if everything Zolf wrote to you was true. Once the kid gets that last shard from Zolf, it'll all be over. I can't hear him at all anymore. He's too far away. But he'll be alright. The Calamity hit the Tazzle terminals hardest of all. You know why Zolf went back there. Zolf must be there all alone, just waiting. All his old friends and family were there. You know what's funny? Look around. There's not much left to do here in the Bastion, I'm afraid. So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right? When the kid brings back that shard, the Bastion will be complete. Problem is, we'll all be gone. Oh, we're not gonna die. It's more like all of this will just stop. Things will go back to the way they used to be. This whole place is a living record of the times before the Calamity. You be your old self again. Think of all those times that didn't go your way. You follow me? No mistakes. Anyone you've ever hurt. Everything you've ever done. You could do it over. And wouldn't that be grand? I guess there's nothing more to say. Who am I kidding? Look. There's something else. A confession. How come I know so much about the Bastion? Well, I designed the place. But that's beside the point. There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time. You can't test it. So you're probably wondering if the Calamity happened already. What's to stop it from happening again after the Bastion does its thing? The answer is... I don't know. You're wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's all right. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us. The weight of the Calamity, it's on our shoulders. We can't just let it go. Bastion does have another function. Strictly speaking, if ever the monument blew out and we couldn't repair it, we could still evacuate. First, we'd round up as many folks as we could carry. Next, we'd detonate the cores, and we'd take off away from here. That way, all of us could leave the city together. You know Zolf and his countrymen won't be giving up that shard without a fight, don't you? Zolf and the Ura, all they want now is to see the Bastion fall. He can't have imagined the city would try to wipe the Ura out. Zolf ain't lost every shred of decency though, has he? He tried to warn me about his plans. He tried to warn the kid. For Zolf, this ain't a personal matter. It ain't a simple matter of pride either. One thing's for sure, the Ura can't be happy that the kid followed Zolf all the way home. Kid saves off once, but I don't think he'd make the same mistake. I wouldn't. Don't you worry, though. Once the Bastion's restored, it'll all be alright. Although, after talking it over like this, guess I'm beginning to have my doubts. Kid's probably dealt with Zolt by now. He reminds me of myself when I was his age. I ever tell you about those days? Hey, kid. Get up, kid. Come on, that ain't funny. I say get up. That's more like it. Now, set that shard into the monument there. Then we'll talk. The Bastion. It's finally finished. Now, there's something I want you to see. Welcome to the heart of the Bastion. I ain't one for long goodbyes, so here's the deal. Zia and I figure you done the heavy lifting, so you get to do the honors. We can tell you how to work this thing if you got any questions. Good to see you. It's finished. Now, sit tight. It'll be over soon. No matter what happens next, you done good. I suppose all that's left is to try and remember this moment. The Bastion's gonna take us back to a better time before any of this. Might be we'll forget everything you've done and each other. Though after all we've been through, I find that hard to believe. So long, kid. Maybe I'll see you in the next one. Ceylandia, we're coming home.